I need your help, please subscribe my channel. When Daniel first brought it up, I laughed. Not kindly but sharp mocking. Really? I scoffed, shaking my head. You're jealous of Ethan? He's my best friend. That's all. Don't be ridiculous. His jaw tensed, but he didn't argue back. He only gave this slow, quiet nod, the kind that said more than words. And then silence settled between us, the heavy, suffocating kind. Later, I told my sister, rolling my eyes. Daniel's being insecure. He thinks Ethan is some kind of competition. It's childish. She agreed, and her agreement made me feel justified for brushing him off. The truth was Ethan had been around for years, through every breakup, every lousy job, even in those first fragile months when Daniel and I started dating. He had always been my comfort zone, my safe place. I never stopped to think how it might look to someone else. Ethan's messages came constantly, and I never ignored them. I answered right away, even if I was sitting across from Daniel at dinner. Sometimes I laughed at Ethan's jokes while Daniel just sat there, watching me fork in hand. Ethan and I had our inside jokes, our hugs that lingered just a second too long, and conversations that seemed to stop cold the moment Daniel entered the room. I kept insisting it was harmless, but deep down I knew better. A few weeks later, Daniel tried again. His voice was steady but quiet. Sophie, he said, it feels like you're giving pieces of yourself to Ethan that should be ours. I rolled my eyes, exasperated. You're overreacting. He's just a friend. Stop trying to control me. That's when something in him shifted. I saw it in his eyes, though I was too busy feeling smug to really pay attention. I thought I'd won the argument. I had no idea I'd actually lost something much bigger. Over the next month, Daniel began to change. Not in loud, dramatic ways, subtle things, the kind that crept in slowly. He stopped asking where I was going. He didn't stay awake waiting for me anymore. The man who once noticed every detail now seemed almost indifferent, detached. At first, I called it progress. I told myself he wasn't obsessing anymore, that maybe he'd finally relaxed. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt hollow. The silence between us grew heavier, sharper than any fight. Meanwhile, Ethan was still there, always calling, always texting, always pulling me in closer. I leaned into it, almost in defiance. If Daniel didn't care, fine. I laughed louder at Ethan's jokes, stayed out later, told him more secrets. But the more of myself I gave to Ethan, the colder my home became. Dinners slipped into silence. Nights ended with Daniel turning his back to me in bed, wordless. And then came that Friday. I walked in late from yet another night with Ethan, tossing my keys onto the counter, only to stop cold. Daniel was sitting in the living room with a suitcase at his side. My stomach dropped like stone. What? What are you doing? My voice cracked as I asked. He looked up at me, not angry, not wounded, but with something far worse. Indifference. I can't do this anymore, Sophie, he said evenly. I warned you. I told you how I felt and you mocked me. I won't keep begging for respect in my own marriage. Panic gripped me. Wait, you're leaving me? Over Ethan? Really? My words spilled out in a rush, frantic, desperate. Daniel didn't even flinch. He drew a steady breath. It's not about Ethan. It's about you. You pushed me out of my own marriage. I've been an outsider in my own home. I'm done. The ground seemed to vanish beneath me. I had always believed he'd never actually leave, that no matter how much I pushed, he'd stay. But standing there with that suitcase, I realized he had already left me long before tonight. I stumbled closer, reaching for him. Daniel, please. Don't do this. I'll stop seeing Ethan. I'll change. Please, I promise. My voice shook with desperation. He gently pulled his hand away. I gave you years, he said softly. I begged you to see me, but you never did. You only saw a jealous man to laugh at. Now I see myself, and I deserve better. With that, he picked up his suitcase and walked out. The silence that followed pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't lift. I collapsed onto the couch, my mind replaying every laugh at his expense, every eye roll, every time I chose Ethan's attention over my husband's trust. My phone buzzed on the table, another message from Ethan. For the first time, I didn't even glance at it. His words meant nothing. I had thought Daniel would never go. I thought he'd always stay no matter what. I was wrong. My careless laughter had carved a canyon between us. And when Daniel finally crossed it, he never looked back. That night, in the emptiness he left behind, I understood too late. The man I dismissed as jealous was the only one who had ever truly loved me.